Well, there was a new, flash or flare-up in Donald Trump's ongoing feud with the Lincoln Project. I hate to even talk about the Lincoln Project, but here is the tweet from Donald Trump. The perverts and I said tweet, it's a Truth Social post. The perverts and lowlifes of the Lincoln Project are back on, where else, Fox News. I thought they ran away to the asylum after their last catastrophic campaign, with charges made against them that they were big-time sleaze, and me getting many millions of more votes in 2020 than they got in 2016. The Paul Ryan-run Fox only has high standards for Trump ads, but not for anyone else. The perverts should not be allowed to false advertise, and Fox News should not allow it to happen. See you all in court. All right. Well, now that that's Trump's take on an ad the Lincoln Project ran, an anti-Trump ad that the Lincoln Project ran on Fox News, Rick Wilson, who is a leader of the Lincoln Project, came out with a video response to Trump of his own. Let's take a look at that.
Go for it. Go for it. Come at me. I can't wait. We're delighted by the thought that you would try to sue us, Donald. Do it. Do it. I double dog dare you. You know, when we put up the billboards in Times Square of Jared and Ivanka during the COVID crisis at the end of the 2020 campaign, we received this letter from Mark Kasowitz, Donald Trump's attorney, and it was this complete, blustering show. Oh, we will certainly sue you. We read it in the Bain voice, right? You're not going to sue anybody, Donald. You're not going to do You're not going to do a goddamn thing. You are weak. You are impotent. You are flabby. You are sitting there in the bridal suite at Mar-a-Lago or in the bridal suite at Bedminster, grinding your gears, wondering why that the Lincoln Project, no matter how many times you tried to kill us, keeps coming at you.
How is the Lincoln Project still going?
It's honestly remarkable. They have a decent chunk of change because they use it, they feed it into their own consulting firms, is what we've seen from documents. But they do seem to have a good chunk of change. And what Donald Trump is referring to when he calls them perverts is that one of the top people at the Lincoln Project, John Weaver, was accused of, and actually did admit to, having inappropriate conversations and sexual relationships with younger men. And I believe some of them were underage. So it's just a nasty feud. It's not one that we asked for, but it's certainly the one that we deserve in many different ways. But to your point, how is the Lincoln Project still up? How do they have money when you have some guy like...
It's because they've got his number and they can get him to respond like this.
That's exactly right. And that's why you have Rick Wilson double dog daring him and saying nothing would make us happier than you suing us, because that's how they raise the money that then goes back to the Fox News ads, and it is a disgusting, vicious cycle.
Back in 2017 or so, I did a listicle story that said like 17 people Trump has threatened to sue.
Yes.
And it's probably 117 by now. He's absolutely famous. So he's right about this. He's famous for threatening to sue people and just never doing it.
Yeah.
And his legal team is stretched a little bit thin right now.
They're busy.
Yes.
Well, and just to be clear, this is the Lincoln Project co-founder John Weaver, who was a longtime sort of Republican consultant, operative man on the scene. 21 men accused him in the New York Times of online harassment. His solicitations included sending messages to a 14-year-old. The New York Times reports asking questions about his body while he was still in high school, and then more pointed ones after he turned 18. Okay, so that's what Donald Trump is referring to. It raises this entire question. The Lincoln Project basically said, we didn't know, and we had nothing to do with this. We didn't know about it, but it doesn't seem to have terribly affected their business if they have enough money to get anti-Trump ads up on Fox News, which is a very costly endeavor.
No, it wasn't that costly because they geo-targeted it locally.
Oh, they did?
Just for Bedminster.
Palm Beach. Oh, for Bedminster.
Because they knew where he was in Bedminster. And
that's still pretty expensive.
They called the ad sucker, and like a sucker, he was sitting there watching Fox News. They practically just sent him like an MP4 on his phone, or like, here, watch this and get angry, and Truth Social about it. Yeah. So that we can then keep most of the money that we got in order to make this and send it to our consulting firms rather than having to put it up nationally, which would be much more expensive. What's he complaining about here when he says that the Paul Ryan-run Fox News has higher standards for anti-Trump ads? Or so has he been trying to, did he get some ads taken off for like including misinformation or something?
It probably is the case that him or groups aligned with him have had a harder time. I don't know if there's anything that's actually public or been reported, but have had a harder time getting ads on Fox News. He's referring to the fact that Paul Ryan is on the board of News Corp, which is an interesting relationship. The relationship between Fox News and Donald Trump continues to be very interesting, but I think he's very convinced that there's an anti-Trump streak at Fox News, which I actually think is correct, and it just brings these kind of just feuds into public every once in a while. But the Lincoln Project one is so ridiculous because if there's anybody to just completely upset by ignoring them, it's this group. I mean, if you starve them of attention, they will wither and they will go away and they will be sad and humiliated because nobody will want anything to do with them anymore. Democrats won't want anything to do with them. Republicans won't want anything to do with them. So to the extent that you can just let them go away, they will.
Not possible.
That's how you humiliate and upset them.
Yeah, he can't do it.
No.
Clearly.
Yeah. Listen, it's one of those things where it's like once it starts, the exchanges are so brutal back and forth that I understand why nobody wants to let it go, because it's gotten very personal. And you understand why people want to defend themselves. But again, not the fight we asked for, but clearly the fight we deserve.
The perverts should not be allowed to false advertise. I love his just random quotes.
I know, the capitalizations too. Ryan is reading the Truth Social post. His Truth Social feed has been pretty lively.
On fire,
it's been very lively. So yeah, I looked at it the other day. I was like, man, this is like the old Trump Twitter feed. He's back.
He's got it. He built his own until it goes bankrupt. But yeah.
Right.
Don't they owe their vendor like a couple $1 million?
Yes, that's going back and forth.
They can cry censorship after the vendor cuts them off for not paying the bills. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes, and we will have more Rising right after this.